MC family, we are here, part 3, to do some cannabis history, more on the entertainment side. It's your boy Wes.
Is JJ here?
Is Gabe in today?
Anton?
Yes, your boy Sep.
My dog. Hey, missed not being here last week. Really missed not seeing the boys. Great to be back and in the episode. To have a full crew back in the house. And at a new spot. It's a cool, exciting thing. Sorry, I had to show some love to the family real quick.
City library.
Yeah, had to show some love. But yeah, we got some really cool stuff to talk about today. The way that cannabis has influenced culture in a whole is immaculate, but especially when you start looking at the entertainment side of things.
Yes. Facts.
It's nuts, dude. And to take it back to like Marilyn Monroe having a moment where she was able to take like a video and to go through in New Jersey and have it filmed and like advocating for cannabis in a way and discreetly, still being in that era, you know, having like the taboo effect, but she still brought it on camera and like utilized it, and it was known that was cannabis at that time.
Yes. And I think something that you touched on is it being taboo. I think a big part of, as far as when cannabis had a time to come to entertainment, that almost in all regards it was viewed as taboo or bad.
Yeah. Jazz culture, man. Jazz culture. Louis Armstrong?
Yeah, jazz music for sure. The emergence in music, right? And if we take even a little step back before that, you know, you had alcohol, right? The prohibition, right? You know, and then you had the counterculture of the 1920s. You know what I mean? People talking about cannabis in a way that was interesting. You had not only Mexican migrants, right? You had African American migrants, you know, bringing this into the mainstream media, right? Making its presence into music, right? You have places like Jamaica and India, right? Having its influence in music already, right? You know, if we were talking way before Bob Marley, you know what I'm saying? We're talking, like you said,
The Rastafarians.
The Rastafarians, right? So it's super cool to see its first emergence in music, and even so the 1920s and 30s, you know, with it being sensationalized by what? The reefer madness.
Madness.
You're gonna go cuckoo for the cannabis.
Smoking once and you're done.
So what's the best way, right? You can use entertainment to capture the masses, right? But by movies, right? But by capturing.
Especially at that time, because movies were the thing. Movies were the thing.
There's the big go in and watch. Everyone publicly watch. Dun dun dun. You know what I mean?
And before that, it was
Somebody back there. You know that? Somebody back there wheeling the thing.
And even before that, it was silent films, you know, so there was no
black and white.
watching movies without any audio, you know, and so Reefer Madness, you know, what was that,
36.
1936, yeah.
audio in movies was new, you know, so it was like, oh wow, well, let's watch this movie, and they're like, this is real? Like, and then you hear it from big political figures, you see it in the newspaper.
They started to demonize it.
Yeah.
The sensationalized demonization of the plant itself, right? That's what the scariest part, right? Fear-mongering campaigns.
So, I mean, would you guys say that newspapers are
would be
entertainment?
for sure.
Yeah, newspapers.
For sure.
Yeah.
A lot of people use that as a way,
entertainment back
you know,
then was
used and
newspapers
caught
and
up.
radio.
You know what I mean?
Like we said before in the previous episodes, that guy that owned...
Who? Like you said? What was his name? No, it was great though. He bought the newspapers, Ernst something like that. Ernest, yeah.
He said Hearts Ernest.
Name unknown.
I can't.
I'm gonna have to call on Javi. We need the chat GBT.
we got that shit right.
I can't remember his name, but that's not really important. He just...
Irrelevant.
Yeah. He, you know, took advantage of that entertainment industry, the money that he had that he was given to him, and that newspaper company was given to him by his father. And so he was just like, okay, and so he had influence.
Being able to control
And he was
narrative.
friends with politicians, and he was a politician himself. And so, yeah, just trying to control the masses, straight up lying to them.
If you control the news, then it's easier to control everyone. A lot of people watch the news.
And back
and
then,
that's-
obviously, there wasn't a bunch of different, like, news outlets, right? Like, everybody's getting the same paper. Everybody's hearing the same radio channel later on. Like, you're getting the same source. And so that's what made Reefer Madness even more scary in my opinion, right? There's not like
you see that
other
movie?
channels or other papers.
And that's all
like,
they're talking about.
You got the one, and that's
talking
it.
about, you know. Did you see that crazy movie? You know, it's gonna make you go crazy.
my
It's gonna
daughter-
make you go do that to that person.
My daughter made her not smoke cannabis.
It's a movie, so you can do, even back then with special effects, you could still do your special effects and make things seem even crazier than what it really is.
Right.
And that's kind of where it ties back into Marilyn Monroe, you know, getting on film and consuming. Think about how big of a knock to society that was. How she was already counterculture, how she was already viewed in a different dynamic than she would be viewed today. She's a very modest woman in today's standards and ethics, but back then she was considered not. She had a lot of condescending dress. Like, if you look at what was publicized about her and the contradictory that went around Marilyn Monroe, is that she was a polarizing character, is that she really did advocate for a lot of the underground. Like, did you know that she also I forget what she like sponsored pretty much or helped get I'm gonna look up her name, but it's a singer, an African American singer.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I know the story. I don't
What
know
is
the
her name? She's an African American singer.
Aretha Franklin? No.
No,
Something like
Ella Fitzgerald.
yes.
Because she was around that time.
yes. So she
Ella
helped.
Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
She helped her get publicized and onto the mainstream and the big stages, and she was African American. So Marilyn Monroe was always fighting against what the current culture was advocating for, essentially.
Right. As normal.
As normal.
She was like, this is not okay.
Yeah, she was like, these are humans too, and it goes into the cannabis world
And
too.
this is a
Like,
plant too. This is, it's okay.
Well, that's
Looking
what
at things-
Madness was based on is, you know, we hate to say it, but racism.
Yeah.
That's what really brought it all, because the jazz musicians were really making it very popular at the time.
Like you
Louis
guys said,
Armstrong,
they
Bob Calloway, right? Introducing it into
they
the
took that
music.
word marijuana and made it evil.
It's crazy how, like, so, you know, you had Reefer Madness in 20s and 30s like that, and then, you know, like, what, 40 years later, maybe 70s and 80s, basically we reset with the war on drugs and did the same exact thing, except they just introduced harder drugs in that, but marijuana was still right there.
Right.
With heroin,
Schedule
with
one.
methamphetamines,
And that's
like,
why it was
all
still
of it.
sticking to the cracks, bro.
Yeah.
As a gateway.
That's why, you know, the beautiful country we live in, God bless America, it was slipping through the cracks and they couldn't do anything about it.
Well, what
because
was-
it's freedom of
no
speech.
control.
Cheech and Chong.
You might be able to
They
tell
didn't go
this,
after
right?
them.
Like the Nam War was at 1960,
Yeah, I think like 67. I want to say.
right?
It was
So
like
then
the late
what
60s.
genetics were coming in?
Hey, Afghanis, all of it. Oh, so many
See what I mean?
hallmarks.
And that's
dude.
when you have the
Yeah.
emergence of the counterculture of the
Acapulcos.
1970s of the hippie movement.
Tie stick.
And I think that's all tied into the Vietnam War, right? Like you're looking at that's the war after like World War One, World War Two. Like people had been going
Korean
through
War,
it, so like Vietnam War, it was like please, like
Now
let's just
was
stop.
that.
And so you did have like at the 70s, right? That was start a very big hippie movement. So big shout out to all the soldiers. You know what I mean? That's where obviously the
Groundwork was done.
groundwork was done to say the least. All
It had to have been trickling
all in the
back.
Emerald Triangle. And I know we talked about the Emerald Triangle in the past, but that's just seriously like on a U.S. like if you were to look at a U.S. map, they've done studies that the Emerald Triangle has been responsible for like 60% of all sales.
What?
So anything that people were getting in the streets, right? And like Prop 215 in Cali, you could sell to dispensaries later when it became medical. So it's like the Emerald Triangle, so 3 counties, right? Mendocino County, Trinity County, and then what's the other one?
Was it Humboldt?
Humboldt County, yeah. So those 3
Got the big H,
are the
dude.
counties. Those 3 counties make up the Emerald Triangle, and they are the counties responsible for growing like the vast
activism
majority
of
of what
counterculture, man.
people consume. Period.
And let's start talking about the culture that's came out of there. Burner, huge, like well in the industry. Comes from California. Has got to work inside of the industry during that era. Got to
he
see the packs come.
Made a
off
lot
the
of money through entertainment. You
Yeah.
know, using cannabis as, you know, a niche and being like, hey, let's
How did level
rap
himself
about what I
up?
love about.
Yeah,
you know.
he created a brand around clothing that like cannabis clearly
20
like
joints
made
in
it.
the air.
Hey, yeah, biggest songs around cannabis. You know what I mean?
Oh, but we're definitely getting way ahead of ourselves, because obviously what happened in the 90s is rap. In the late 70s to 80s is hip hop music came out.
You're right.
Hip-hop
I'm
and
getting heavy.
I would say
You had Pac, right?
Wu-Tang.
Cypress Hill, even.
I would say 80s, 90s is when you're getting into
For
that.
sure.
Like 70s, like it was a slow transition from like the reggae scene, like Jimi Hendrix. You had like Woodstock. You had those like
Woodstock.
70s. So I'd say like 80s on, we're starting to get.
We gotta back it up, dog.
That's right, like Cheech and Chong, right? You know that.
Yeah, Jimi Hendrix. You guys mentioned a legend right there.
Very true.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean the Beatles.
Perfect.
The Beatles being probably still one of the biggest groups in history, being, you know, okay with psychedelics, being okay with smoking marijuana and cannabis and whatnot.
Well,
dude,
who are we forgetting the most? Bob Marley.
Bob Marley.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Jamaican lamb bread. You know what I mean? Jamaican lamb bread.
Very true. And obviously Bob Marley brought that to the States way more than anybody did.
You know what I'm saying?
Way more than anybody did.
Stick.
But not only that, but its message through what it did, right? One love, unity, peace, right? Amongst what was happening, the wars around the world.
But that
right?
was even what
activists,
year was
you know?
that? 70s?
Yeah, I would say like
Bob Marley
70s.
came up, yeah,
70s,
he came up in the
Yeah.
late
even-
60s to 70s.
Was
Okay.
that same with Jimi Hendrix too, or was he earlier?
He was
Right around that
I
same
want to go
time.
around the table and ask a question real quick. What's your favorite stoner movie, Hobby?
Stoner movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh, I'm
we're
not
talking
really-
about movies now, yo.
Yeah, right.
Honestly, I mean, I love all the classics, but you know, I have to say Pineapple Express.
Damn,
Come on, y'all. Like, yeah, that's one. That's probably the pinnacle. James Franco
right?
and
Okay,
Seth-
Google
Seth
after
Rogen.
that. Have to high movie.
I would say, honestly, my second one is How High.
I love
Oh, you're taking all the movies.
I know how I was really
Ever. Oh my gosh.
All right, Wes.
No, I'd say same Pineapple Express. That had to be like, at least for me, what gave me a little insight. I don't know, to kind of maybe like some culture and I think it's how outrageous the movie seemed. You know what I mean? Like, I've watched the older Cheech and Chong movies and stuff like that, and like, to me, right? I say older to me, but I watched like all those, or even like some newer ones with like the Wiz Khalifa, like going back to high school.
High school.
Yeah,
High School with Mac.
so like there are some like new ones, but Pineapple Express really captured just how wild, just like it really was, just like how wild the movie was. I was like absolutely thrilled to watch it. So that's the one.
It's quality cinema.
Well, like you see it in movies like Scary Movie, right? It being a joke, you got the big joint that's being rolled up. And the
you
movie-
What was that, Rocky? What was that, Rocky? It was the Rocky Mountain Horror.
You know, you got Friday After Next, you know, just all
Horror
these little
Picture
depictions where
parody.
cannabis is
And
shown, but it's
instead
like,
of instead of being the Rocky Horror Picture plant, it's a plant, and he rolls them. It's
And
a
he
big
rolls
weed
them-
plant. It's a monster weed plant, and he rolls them up.
And
in
it's
the
like
bed,
literally
and
smoke.
his afro, he lights his afro on fire. That shit's hilarious, bro. But I'd say mine is Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke. You know, just so notorious. The whole
classic.
thing, just laughing through the whole thing and being like, wow, like they were really doing this different. You know, like this is an old movie and they're just laughing about it and like just having a good time talking about it the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we gotta go to Strawberry's house. Don't look at him.
Don't look at his birthmark.
Don't look at his birthmark.
Yo.
He's like, why is his name Strawberry? Because he has a big strawberry patch on his face. So it's like so funny. It's like, don't talk about his birthmark, but his name is after his birthmark. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, just that movie, hilarious. Gotta say, you know, join with these guys and say Pineapple Express for sure.
Okay.
Third, what's the one with
Damn.
What's the one with Dave Chappelle?
Half baked.
Half baked.
Half Baked. Yeah,
Damn.
love that one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
I
my
think
top three.
Dazed and Confused. We're doing top three.
Yeah, that's what. These guys kept going. So.
Naming some.
There's no rules, bro.
Yeah, what you
Dazed
like
and
though? What's yours?
Confused, dude. Dazed and Confused reminds me of my high school days of like.
Yeah.
That's really I feel like how it was, dude. We were just going getting fucked up with the boys. You know what I mean? Like trying to figure out if we're gonna stay in sports or not, or if that's gonna be like a thing. So I connect with that one pretty heavy. You know, I think that one's a really good one. Dude, where's my car?
Super funny.
Classic.
I'm surprised I wasn't made this far down the table.
Yeah.
Did
I was gonna
they
say
actually
X,
like
so-
smoke in that movie?
No.
Was there any cannabis references, or they were just stoners?
I
like,
think it
fun?
was just insinuated
No,
that they were all.
I'm pretty sure they smoked.
There's no like
Right?
smoke scene.
Did they have any?
It
in
was
their-
like they had a crazy
Like
ass
a
night,
bong and shit.
and then that's how they lost the car.
Yeah. Like,
I don't remember seeing bongs.
Like I would
I don't
definitely
know.
think it.
But
is
it's definitely a stoner movie. Yeah, I'm not trying to argue with that. I was just trying to think of like the scenes of them, you know, where they reference cannabis. But no, it's just kind of insinuated through the whole thing.
yeah, it is.
But that's also kind of a negative look on stoners too. Like, oh, you forgot where your car is, and they just kind of play stupid the whole movie. So, I mean, that kind of shows like, you know, a weird kind of position. But it's
Well, that's
it's a
how it
great
was
movie.
back then.
But
Yeah.
I mean, like,
it still is now. Yo,
Yeah.
how many times do you guys forget shit?
Yeah.
No, it's a side effect.
It's a side
Dude,
effect.
where's my car? That's why it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But they just went over the top with it.
Of course, and that's
You know?
what comedy is.
And that's
It's
what, yeah, over the
it's
top.
such a parody that it's just
Yeah.
like, you know, it's like, okay, this is kind of not really how it is, you know,
Right.
but it's fucking hilarious, you know? What about you, Anton?
Friday.
Friday. Classic.
Oh,
though.
yeah.
Friday, like the Big
Wrote by
Lebowski.
Ice Cube.
Yeah, was it actually written by him?
It was.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Written and directed.
Written and directed by Ice Cube.
The man himself,
Funny.
dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, like Half Baked. Love that one. That was probably like the first time that I was aware of like what was going on.
Yeah.
Like where it's like
'Cause they're all sitting in a circle.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh, okay, I know what this movie's about. Now. But I was like, what, like
And they're all
13,
holding it in.
14? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Very
So
true.
yeah, definitely before like a true smoke session.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But also you could also go like I really like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I know it's not just about marijuana,
Cannabis, but it's in there.
It's you also have your psychedelics. You have all of it.
Yep.
Hey,
And just on
Counterculture.
on Gonzo journalism, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
On that man himself, like he was a huge influence on cannabis. You know, writing about it constantly and about political figures. I mean, they invited him at their house. You know, Hunter Thompson, come to my house and we'll have an interview or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he's fucking high as fuck talking to the president.
dude,
You know what I mean? Like,
it's kind of funny. Squints off of the Sandlot. He like has his own company now. and
Yeah.
like,
I was telling him.
yeah,
he's a breeder.
I'll show you.
So
bro.
he's
I had
really
to tell
not
my
Steve-O.
father-in-law that, dude. My father-in-law, like, huge baseball fan and everything, and like, definitely had to
Love
like
that movie, yeah.
bring it up because like they were talking about Squints for some reason. Like, well, like, I mean, you're talking about somebody that's producing quality in my field. So
Actually, running off-
definitely have to
Running
make
off-
sure
You just
he gets the respect. Yes.
Sorry.
No, and then,
Yeah, I'm running off what you just said. Like even sports is entertainment.
Yeah.
Hey, now I believe the NBA you can partake through your pain.
Football too.
Not. I
UFC.
don't know if it's football yet.
Right? Football.
I might have read an old article, but I don't. Hockey. I know for sure MLB and NBA and hockey. All three of those.
I just
you're
don't
able
follow
to.
football, so I don't know. But
Yeah, I
I
don't
wouldn't
follow
doubt
it.
it.
I see that one
I
football
feel very
that's on the
big, like-
Raiders always smoking
Yeah.
a blunt.
I mean, like we could talk on like Calvin. We could talk on like Calvin Johnson too, right? Like he's a very
yeah.
big advocate,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Former NFL player for the Lions. So
Yeah. Yeah. What's
The NFL
Calvin
definitely
Johnson
has-
and what was the other gentleman's name that we gotta meet with?
Yeah, the other one.
I could not tell you.
Calvin Johnson and
They call it Squints too.
can't remember his name.
No, but they definitely came through, and they are advocates to get it to the NFL if it's not there.
Yeah.
If it's not there, but it is on like almost like NBA. Like it is starting to become okay and like arguably more of a mainstream way of like recovery and stuff for athletes now, which is cool, but
So sick.
so sick.
Yeah.
So sick. Wendy. Shout out to that Wendy strain. Big shout out. What? But I think to dial it back, we were talking about like movies, and I know like Cheech and Chong is I think probably overall
The biggest.
the
most
biggest
popular.
and like the first.
Yeah.
It was
At
the
least as
first.
far as I know, it was the first. There you go.
Like,
It was the first.
It really.
And so
pushed
that was,
boundary.
and that would have been like the 70s on. And so I just think that it's really cool to look back and that what JJ kind of said is that they were putting that culture and doing things in a totally different way than everyone else.
Yeah, like think about how much they had to go through to live the lifestyle and the facade that they curated for themselves, because they know it's right. This isn't making them steal. This isn't making them murder, like rape.
It's over a 40-year-old movie now, and this is a quote that one of them said. They said, "We made our mark, and we're still doing it. That's what I found out. There's no age limit on Cheech and Chong. When we first started out, we were young guys playing old guys. Now we're old guys playing young guys. It's crazy."
I love to hear that, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Old feeling young, that matters.
But yeah, they had a huge impact on the history of cannabis. And,
Oh yeah.
And I think going from like off of that, like looking at the 80s, 90s as we start to integrate it a lot more with music that we grew up with, right? You're talking about like hip hop and that whole scene. I think you also start taking a turn where it's back to being not like just one love. And that's just because of hip hop music having the rap that it did at the time.
Yeah, competitive.
Yes.
You know,
And I mean, obviously with like gang violence and all that, like
gang
it was,
related.
cannabis was still viewed as like bad, and if not even more so for the black community, unfortunately, right? That's still a problem that they had to face.
Right.
Yeah. It's really unique when you start looking at the demographics that utilized cannabis in that era, and the way that it was demonized as well. What was conveyed about the consumption of cannabis being completely irrational, just illiterate almost, and California being able to really start diving into the medical side and like setting it up in like 1997?
96.
Yeah,
96?
96.
Them,
Prop 215.
getting it institutionalized in medical in their state was huge, but there was still so much of the controversy and the taboo that stuck around from that era that we're still fighting today. You know, so it's cool to see all of the gains that we've had, but we're still fighting the good fight now. And then like the culture is screaming more so than ever. It's crazy how loud the culture is.
So what was the
now.
first song or like artist you listened to?
Wiz Khalifa, bro.
Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah, I'm a young cat. I'm a young cat. You know what I
Wiz
mean?
was big for me, dude, too. Like, it was the second concert I ever went to.
Associated with weed.
Second.
What the fuck?
He got his own like Khalifa Kush.
Now I
He
do,
used to
but
be here.
before, I didn't know he was associated with weed.
So yeah, my second concert ever was Wiz Khalifa. I think I was
like Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg.
I think I was 14, and yeah, me and my homie Brent went, and my sister took us, my older sister, and dude, it was crazy. There was cops surrounded around this fence. It was up at the University of Utah, and there was just smoke coming out of these crowds, and I'm like, these cops aren't doing anything. Like, this is crazy. Like, what's going on? Like, they don't care. And yeah, I know they were like checking people, so I kind of got scared, even though I didn't have anything on me. But I was, taking shots with my sister's friends on the way up. So we get there, and we get inside. I'm mind blown by all this smoke, and this older cat comes up to me. Hey, what's up, guys? Are you guys having fun? Yeah, we're just jamming out together. He pops open a pill bottle and pulls out 2 joints. Hand us one each, bro. I barely met this dude. I'm like, thanks, man.
No, yeah,
We're like 14, 15. Got so baked and just jammed out to Wiz, bro.
That's sick.
I'm I'm with you on that, bro.
Wiz,
Wiz
right?
was one of mine for sure.
Dude,
Dr. Dre,
A
Snoop
pillar.
Dogg,
Cypress Hill,
The Chronic,
Slightly Stupid.
Javi.
What was the first?
What was the first? Maybe not your favorite, but the first one you kind of realized was like, oh shit, they're talking about weed.
I mean, the first one was Dr. Dre for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cottonmouth Kings, I forgot them too.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, Dr. Dre was just, made it huge. 2001. That
Yeah, The
album
Chronic.
was a fucking weed.
Weed lead on it.
Weed every day.
Yeah, exactly. Smoke
That-
weed.
Yeah.
That was
Like,
huge,
smoke weed.
especially
Like
at
the Chronic
my
too, basically.
being young
The
in California.
Chronic
It was like everyone
Yeah.
said that. We're third graders saying that, and like it's like fucking yeah, dude. Like that's the biggest thing, and that's what got me into music too. Is Dr. Dre being an amazing producer and putting out that stuff.
Afro Man, you know, I didn't even know who that. All I heard was kids singing that in my school, and I hated that song.
Dude, I sing that throughout all. Dude, me and a bunch of my homies were going. Oh, wait, that was me, bro. That was me. We're going through the hallways of my junior high.
All the time.
Weed's not cool.
The DARE program, we even spoke about that in the last episode. It's influence on that culture. You know?
Baby dance.
It's crazy. But like you guys said, even its presence in merchandise, clothing, you see a bunch of people wear cookies and you're like, do you know what that is? And they're like, nope, they just think it's literally a cookies like you eat. But no, it's literally Burner's brand, cookies. You know what I mean? That influence, right? Where he's got it to the point where he can just get anyone to wear his cannabis merchandise and not even associate.
I would say shout out to him for doing it well enough that people are willing to buy it and don't even know, right? Like this style has to be good. The fashion is good. If people are buying it, and they don't even know.
It's not so loud where it's like, hey, I'm wearing a weed shirt.
Right. Yeah. It's just cookies in a bunch of colors.
Okay, Wes, first, like music.
First, no, I'm right there with you guys. I'd say Dr. Dre was definitely what kicked it off, and I definitely listened to a lot of. When I was younger, I definitely was bigger in the rap, to be honest. So like, it would have been like Dr. Dre, and I'd say anybody that he would like kind of do collabs with, you could kind of like pick some stuff out. And I didn't know that till I was older, right? Like a lot of those lyricists weren't Cottonmouth Kings or people actually rapping about like cannabis culture and like strains over and over. It was like kind of tidbits, you know what I mean? Like you have like Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, you have all the rappers slowly bringing it in, but I would like Dr. Dre and Wiz, I think had like some of the biggest,
right? Pass the Dutchie to the
left hand side.
Come on, man. You know what I mean? You got 4 kids.
Left is law.
You know what I mean? Isn't that crazy how iconic that song was, right? I was watching VH1 MTV one time, and it was like breaking down the most like 50 iconic songs like ever, and that was in like the top 10.
Damn.
These kids, it's like crazy. And then that's how you know, who do I pass it to? Come on, man. Pass it to the left. You know what I mean? So, left hand side, you know? So even that, right? You had like Grandmaster Flash in this way I was looking up, and Dougie Fresh in 1985 mentioning in their song La Di Da Di, we games to party, right? Things like that, mentioning how cannabis can be used communal.
Even Rick James,
right?
And Eddie Murphy.
Right? All these guys. And you see them in videos and they're just emphasizing how communal the drug is, right?
Yeah.
The drug, right? Smoking, the rebellious part of it, right? The underground culture of it, right? And then you even got it to where it's like delved into mainstream media now. News channels talking about it, its presence on Instagram, its battles on TikTok, right? But anyways, yeah, with entertainment, like those guys, Dr. Dre, the Kush, dumb.
So, I mean, this one was later in the day, kind of around, I guess, Pineapple Express days, maybe a little before that. Kid Cudi. It was a huge impact on me. Huge.
Night. Oh yeah, Kid Cudi.
I'm on the pursuit of happiness, and I know. Yeah, it's like jamming out, bro. And
I would also
Day
say,
and night, dude.
when I was in high school growing up, I did go to like Warped Tour back in the day when it was around. And so I would say there was a lot of, that's where I kind of saw that like cannabis could be to all entertainments, right? Because it's like you don't really have a bunch of rock artists, especially big rock artists at that time that were there singing about smoking weed, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's not in the lyrics or anything, but what's everyone doing at the concert? You're either in the mosh pit or you're in the back lighting something.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I mean, Grateful Dead.
It's
you know,
crazy
like
that you
that's
say that, dude.
Yes.
Because Green Day, the fact that they're called Green Day is actually because they're based off of smoking weed for a full day.
what?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either, dude. And I was obsessed with them when I was like 10,
Me
and,
too,
like 11,
bro.
12. And when I read that like on Wikipedia or something, I was so mad because I was against marijuana. Obviously, I was like, they're saying marijuana's bad, weed's bad, and I read that. I was like, no way, my favorite band smokes weed.
Not my boy, dude.
Because when I was younger, I was a punk rocker.
Exactly.
Like full.
And what's grapes do about?
What's what?
Brain Stew.
Exactly.
Have you guys heard that song?
Mm-hmm.
Brain Stew.
But
It's
I sit around and try and dance.
Oh shit!
So low.
I'm having troubles trying to sleep. Like now,
Yo. Yep. Straight up. Green Day. And that's crazy because Dookie came out in like 96, somewhere around there. 90, 98.
something around there. Yeah.
It was like pretty early, and punk rock made it huge. You know, Sublime, Slightly Stupid has been around for a long time.
They have.
Reggae,
a long time.
Reggae Island, reggae, right? You see all
Exactly.
these festivals, smoke up in there.
Dude, Reggae Rise Up was so sick.
Reggae Rise Up.
Took my grandpa.
The
Plus
IRA,
festival.
Shout out to OG Frank.
Well, like JJ, how you just talking about Wiz Khalifa. Like my first concert was Rancid, the Aquabats.
Damn.
So like it was crazy to me of like, okay, we're inside of the House of Blues in Las Vegas,
What?
and all of a sudden,
Damn, the House of Blue.
yeah, we're just sitting there watching. You know, we're close, and you just all of a sudden you see smoke. And then you
Can you
like look
smell
up
it?
on the balcony. Yeah, well, you look up on the balcony, you see smoke, and then it kind of sets in. And you're like, wait a minute, I know what we're all doing here. So, and yeah, I mean, like with punk, so you know, a lot of us we may look a little crazy, but like normal people, we're happy, we're go lucky. So it's just the same. It's the same in the cannabis culture. Like, I got something, you want to try this?
Hell yeah.
Why not? So next thing you know,
That's
Out there making friends.
the most.
Exactly.
That's like one of the most beautiful things about cannabis, and why we're all here in the room right now.
yeah.
Is it brings us together. It brings people together that can't relate on policies or anything in life, but they're like, hey bro, here's a J. It's like, hey, thanks man.
Yeah.
I don't need to agree with this person to have a good time with them and enjoy this medicine of the earth.
There's so many more things become important to you than simple constructs that other people have. You know, you start talking about how good the music sounds, how good the food tastes, how good the company that you have is in front of you. Like, you become a little bit more subjective instead of objective. Yeah, you become a little bit more in tune with your environment. Like, we talked about it a little bit prior to starting the episode of the short-term memory loss that's correlated with cannabis, but it also having the capacity of being a really, really beneficial thing for creativity when you start looking at the way that you interpret sound differently when you are elevated. There's terminology for it. Do you remember what the specific term was that they refer to?
But that's crazy. It's a cycle. Cannabis brings creativity. Creativity creates movies about cannabis
And music.
and just entertainment, and then that goes and influences more, and then it's a cycle. Like,
Oh yeah,
a
Creates
psychoacoustic
creativity.
enhancer.
a psychoacoustic enhancer.
creates creativity to even create more entertainment about cannabis.
with your short memory being affected with marijuana, you're more likely to pay attention more. You're focusing more on things.
Tunnel vision.
Exactly. So when you're focused, you want to listen more, and then you can take all of that in.
And just be more aware on your senses.
Yes, it's more like even in the article that I was reading, they were talking about how like obviously it changes the way we perceive ear space in music. So
And I think
So it changes the way we
and I think something that cannabis does that all the people that we've named can relate to with like music and like what you're saying is that everybody can get or has the ability in a sense to possibly have a different perspective when they're elevated, right? How you interpret things going on and what you internalize and then like put on paper, or if you're a music producer, then you produce is something different than when like you would be like quote unquote sober, right? Just regular, clear-minded instead of being elevated. And I think that's something that all of those artists came out and were very well known of like, hey, like I smoke, this does help.
I smoke in
you know
the
what I mean?
booth.
It's them at concerts. Like if you are an active concert goer, you do see a lot of these people perform while smoking.
Right.
It's not like a pre-game. It's not a post-game. It's none of. It's like during.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And they're
it's
grabbing
because
from the
it's
crowd
that
sometimes. Thanks, homie.
So
I think my dad went and saw Rage Against the Machine in Cypress Hill one time. I believe he saw him here. But so I guess the singer for Cypress Hill, when Rage Against the Machine came on, they were playing one of the songs. The singer would light up a joint or light up a blunt, take 3 hits, flick it into the crowd, take another one out, and he did this for like 4 songs straight. Just taking and just flicking it. I'm like,
Dr.
what?
Green Thumb.
And this is probably what 90, 95, 96-ish, because before Rage Against the Machine broke up. So
I see.
yeah.
And I think that's where it's
What an
crazy
era.
because a lot of us are looking like we were born in that time, but we were like not listening to that music in a sense, right? Like it might have been like parents playing it, but that wasn't what like was coming out in our time. And so it's almost like we missed that little bit of culture being a little young.
Oh, yeah.
And that's also when it went, you brought up like it going medical. Like in California, you have a legal form of cannabis for the first time in like 60 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And so you have this big switch that goes.
Relating to that, through entertainment are these platforms that have allowed cannabis to have that entertainment, right? YouTube,
Yeah,
right?
YouTube was a big one
YouTube
for me.
being
Like,
one of the biggest for a lot
as soon as I got interested,
content creators. Cannabis and pushing that out for people. Growing, homegrown,
Hell yeah.
gardening, hydro stores, forums, chats, seed trading, seed packs, right? All these you had people
Reddit.
started creating their own brands, their own names, right?
there was a bit of pushback
You know what I
later
mean?
on, but it had to come out first. You know?
Discords.
So it's crazy to see now, and if we're fast forwarding just a little bit in today's age, how cannabis has influenced social media with us, right, and how it pertains to us right now. But yeah, like you guys said, the music and the people, man, it's pretty crazy. Like you said,
Over
1985.
10 years ago, YouTube. There was a bunch of cannabis. I got a list here. Bunch of cannabis
She's
content
got the
creators.
list.
Show us the list.
Show us the list.
Here's the list. Here's the
See the
list.
list.
There's the
Don't
list,
mind my-
guys.
don't mind my
He said,
Don't mind my shitty handwriting.
Let's go.
It's for me to read, not you.
Yeah, I like that. Let them know.
But yeah, biggest one I'm gonna shout out right now. He was Token every day. Shout out Token Daily. Paul Token. Rest in peace.
RP.
Yeah, R.I.P. R.I.P. Love the game.
Passed away December of 2023. And I was close to this person after a while. I talked with him. I was his admin on Twitch, one of his mods. And yeah, so he was a close friend. And yeah, he impacted, millions of people's lives about hash, glass, heady glass, just having a good time and using his medicine every day. Smoking weed every day. Another big one, Floyd Soundrone. Shout out Soundrone. He sold me hempwig, it was called Bilasso, and then he also gave me my first bong. He gave me I talked about this on my episode, a party pipe, and I made it, and just like a Vegas sippy cup, one of those, and just made a hole in it and smoked in it, and shout out fucking Floyd Soundrone. These guys aren't really here today making content, so these are little older guys. Red Band, he was out doing strain reviews in Colorado. Coil Reefer, she would do Stony Sundays. Every Sunday she would, hey, it's Stony Sunday, and then she would sell shirts. This is my Stony Sunday t-shirt. And all sorts of different kinds. Silence Tippy, shout out Sasha.
Nice.
420 Science Club, they sell 420science.com. They sell all sorts of glass and everything.
You can do like boxes and stuff.
Yeah,
too,
even
every now and
boxes, all sorts of shit.
Cool
They would do like a little podcast, 420 Science Club. Shout out the club. Strain Central, Josh from Strain Central, he would do strain reviews. Washington, he was more on like against pesticides things. I was like, oh, they're using pesticides and shit, and like it just brought me more aware of that.
How they're cultivating.
Yeah, exactly. Custom Grow 420.
Hey,
What up? YouTube. He'd do strain reviews, put his phone on top of the fucking saltine cracker can, and then do his fucking flipping in and shit. And he's like, oh, this is the money shot. He'd get the undisturbed trichomes, and yeah, fucking shout out Custom Grow 420. Fucking comedy. Comedy was huge. for cannabis.
Oh, yeah.
Comedy is entertainment.
Yeah.
Doug Benson, he's a comedian. He started a podcast called Getting Doug with High.
Nice.
He brought Jack Black on.
See what he did there.
Yep. He brought Jack Black on, and Jack Black smoked with him. Freaked the fuck out. Because he didn't smoke in 20 years or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Why do celebrities do that, man?
Yeah. And Jack Black, Tenacious D, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Another one.
Yeah.
Pick a destiny.
Right.
The devil horn.
Yeah.
Haley 420 was another one of the first female content creators doing strain reviews, and she was in California. Nick 420, also in California. Now he goes by Higher Standard. He would do submarines or dab marines. He would drink a whole,
Dab-marines.
like a foot beer, you know, those tall glasses. He would take a dab, like a huge ass dab, sometimes like a half gram, and then chug, before exhaling, chug the whole tall can of beer, and then exhale. And he called that a dab marine, or if it was with flour, a submarine. And so I would do that with my like hot chocolate in the winter outside. Is one of my favorite things to do. Smoke flower, inhale, hit your hot beverage, whether it be a tea, chai latte, whatever. Exhale. It's just like a really good feeling.
We used to do the same thing at parties. We would just freaking like take a big fat rip off the bong, and then you shotgun your beer, and then when you're done, blow all your smoke out. See who to throw up.
That's a submarine shotgun. Tyler Bizzaro, he had a podcast. Two High Guys, also another podcast.
Oh, but that's part of the
crazy.
He's trying to get as high as possible.
Holding in your breath.
That's what's really bad shit.
That's what's really cool about our younger generation too. Is they that's what they want to do. They want to get as high as they can, as fast as they can. So if you are the people your age, you're close to me. But yeah, no, they do. So it's cool talking to Gen Z about like, how do you guys smoke? What do you guys do? Like, you know, I'm used to let's smoke a J, let's
Now all of them, it's carts.
exactly.
Some of these newer guys.
That's a blinky.
Or you got them making their own gravity bongs. They're doing all this crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, dude, it's wild.
Well, in Nevada,
I
what
never
just showed
thought
up?
about that.
No,
Coffee lounges, right? Coffee shops, lounges and shops.
You said making your own shit out of whatever.
Right? You got these different places that like entertainment has been a place for these people to just go and smoke. Right? Nevada was like one of the first. You have some in Canada, right? Canada being legalized as well, you know what I mean? With their like coffee shops. You have Brazil and those countries.
Netherlands, of
the
course.
Netherlands, yeah, still. So it's pretty cool to see how entertainment has seeped through there where these people can just go and it's so public. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think that's pretty sick.
And I think that's probably the biggest switch that JJ's touching on is like bringing up like YouTubers and like going to comedy is how much information was almost like transpired overnight with like technology, right? You have all these different media outlets, but it's so many people that are wanting to help the growers, help the community, help make carts, help make dabs. Like there was so many influential people putting out content and just feeling very thankful for it, you know?
You guys have smoked out of an apple, right?
Oh yeah.
100%.
Out of a banana, out of a pineapple, out of a
Potato.
pumpkin.
So this guy,
Hey, shout out them Idaho potatoes.
Master Bomb, this guy right here, this creator, he would wear a wig with giant afro, crazy glasses, and make a bong or a pipe out of anything.
Just
Starburst, strawberries.
Oh,
He would make
I made the
videos of it.
Starburst Tower once. That was not the
Mangoes.
move.
No, those are not.
That was not the
Like, it's
move.
crazy how people are even reviewing strains now too. Like that shit's entertaining. You see people.
Shout out Eric Kahn.
You know what I'm
We were
saying?
talking about Eric
Yeah,
Kahn
some of these
earlier.
newer guys, later in the day, Raw G 420, kind of looks like Gabe. He's a dope cat. Listens to the same music too. Yeah, look him up. He's a really cool, really cool cat. He's in Vegas.
I didn't know that.
Raw G's in Vegas. Matthias 710, he's doing dabs through his nose. Boy's wild.
Oh yeah, I think
that's
you
just
showed
crazy.
me.
Yeah,
You
that's
showed me.
Yeah, I've shown all you guys. Okay.
TS710.
That dude's awful.
And then Joe Rogan. Shout out Joe Rogan.
Shout out Joe
Biggest
Rogan.
podcast in the world. He is a huge influence on
Yeah,
cannabis.
Big Joe.
Yeah, and I'd say like modern. If
Uncle Joe.
we're going to like modern time, like Joe Rogan's got to be like almost like
Hey, the
top
biggest.
5 because not only of what he's done for himself and his podcast, but how much he's done for the cannabis community and having
Mike
guests
Tyson,
on.
dude.
Oh, yeah,
Elon
Mike Tyson.
Musk, dude, he had Elon on
Lights.
Yeah, and
smoking
hit a
weed with
J.
him. You know what I mean?
Richest
That's
man in
crazy.
the world, and his stock
Like-
downpoured only for a day though.
But it's crazy to think that like that is where we're at, is like it's not a
Richest man on
private media, right? It's like
Presidents.
it is like one person. It's not this big main brand, main news media. It's like
the
a
newer
big part
ones.
of it is like Joe Rogan, and I mean we're very big advocates for First Smoke of the Day.
Obama talking about
I'm subscribed to their channel, so I listen to all the new episodes that come out.
Shout out
Turp
First Smoke of
Wars.
the Day.
Turp Wars was the most recent episode. Absolute fire. So much information.
But-
Talked about Spannabis a little bit.
Crazy. Touching on that, what's come out of that? These festivals, these events, right?
True.
Vendors
Cannabis
bringing
Cup.
together the cannabis
And
cup,
bringing
right?
the music
Bringing
to
the
the
music,
to the festival.
and that's where we're at right now. I feel like the events are what capture the culture the most.
For
You know what
sure.
I mean? Like you have
I
to go to
agree.
these events, and you know y'all gonna see us in August, man, for sure, for sure.
shout out Emerald
We
Cup.
out
Shout
there,
out Emerald
yeah.
Cup.
On your way.
But the
High
Spannabis
Times.
just passed, you know, the High Times Awards. You have like you know, all these different battles and
I mean, people went to
competitions and
Amsterdam.
events, you know what I mean, that happen all across the country. Entertainment for the people. So
And I was like,
best
biggest
places.
ones to touch on what just happened was Spannabis.
Spannabis,
And so at
yeah.
Spannabis, you had like Ego Clash, which I mean, bunch of top concentrate people putting aside ego, right? Like the whole point's to like show up who's got the best
Who's got the
jar.
best, right?
You know what I mean? Shut up and smoke it. See how it
Kind
is.
of like the other side with like I was just showing Gabe and JJ MJ BizCon, which that's like when I used to work it. Actually, I'd set up a couple booths there, and yeah, there'd be like the Stizzy booth would be there. Sometimes you could walk around and be like, "Hey, you got anything? Yeah, here, sweet."
That's awesome.
Oh, it's so cool. And
Throwing
yeah.
a seed pack there,
Oh,
throwing
yeah,
a seed
so
pack here,
dope.
throwing bongs, you know, even that, right?
Business conferences from cannabis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nobody would have thought that.
We run
7
it now,
years ago.
boys.
No.
We really are.
Hey,
doing so
and
much.
Running it up.
And this is entertainment. So
We are
shout out
entertainment.
to
Shout
all
out.
you to listening,
Yo.
listening into it to this and being a part of this.
R&D never stops.
Yeah.
Yeah, R&D never stops.
There's so many things we
You
still
don't need
don't
a
even
permit for
know.
that.
No?
Super true. What's also one big thing
Yeah, we got
that
there
I
too.
was noticing is artists and other people that are, you know, say actors or stuff, such as Squints, bringing out their own strings. Erica Badu, Burner.
Belushi. You know, the
Belushi, yeah.
Belushi,
Yeah.
Dude, Russ
Nipsey
made
Hussle.
Russ made a strain with Wonder Bread. Wonder Bread? Is
Yeah,
that-
Wonder Bread.
Yeah, Wonder Bread. It's called Chomp, bro. I want to try that shit.
We want to try that. We want to
That
try that
sounds
marathon OG. Shout out Nipsey.
Nipsey Hussle, yeah.
Who made Who's the,
That Khalifa Kush.
St. Louis? Who's the NBA?
Some real Khalifa Kush,
real-
please.
Seth Rogen?
In St. Louis, he has a
Seth Rogen
dispensary.
is so huge on cannabis.
Pineapple Express, bro. He has a
know that.
company called Houseplant now.
There you
Have you
go.
seen Houseplant?
Oh, I've heard about it.
Look it up right now.
Oh, yeah.
They have some of the craziest products, bro. He makes ceramics
Seth Rogen.
and shit. Yeah, Seth Rogen
yeah,
and
this is another one
Houseplant,
we're
dude.
talking
Shout out Houseplant and Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
Thank you, dog.
That
Thank you,
and,
Seth.
and the entertainment industry in terms of like websites, you know, like things that journals, right?
Yola.
Media, you know, like all of these different cool things, man, that keep us kind of like on the loop with cannabis. You know, we got stickers, merchandise, you know what I mean? You see this branding on Mylar bags, you know what I mean? Like reaction videos, like
That's the only-
all the encompassing, like even to the point of like, oh, Michael Phelps, so sweet. Like seeing that in the news, right? I'm like, holy shit, you're talking about the greatest Olympian to ever live, smokes weed?
Al Harrington.
Damn.
Yeah.
19 gold medals? What? Say less. Hell yeah. I feel cool too since Michael Phelps smoked weed. You know what I'm saying? Seeing that on the news was pretty crazy. I'm like, talking about the greatest athlete to ever live. Smoke weed while I'm alive?
For real?
Hell yeah, man.
And that goes,
You know what
that goes
I mean?
back to like the entertainment with sports and stuff like and
Sports.
basketball players
Basketball
like Kevin
players.
Durant smokes marijuana.
Yeah, I heard there's like no
Yeah,
drug
smokes
testing or
cannabis.
something like that. for
Al
NBA
Harrington. We were
players.
just talking.
There you go.
Al Harrington.
Yeah, there's
Making
like
his own strains.
Yeah, Al Harrington's
like-
owner of Viola out in
Nice.
St. Louis, and so he made his own brand, Iverson. So have to check that out.
Dude, it's huge, and you know it's happening more and more, which does what for the community? It increases, it booms the breeders, the genetics, all of these things that we all love to surround ourselves with. it just shoots it through the roof. You know,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
It is. It's really cool to see. It's really cool to see.
It's cool that we get to be on the younger side of all of these movements.
Because they're chiming in now. They're like chiming in on the new movements, right? And that's where we're at right now. You have celebrities that are seeing the positive side, the positive outlook of where cannabis can go, and they're coming in. You know, not only celebrities, but you have investors and stakeholders, movies and media. We have shows, you know, we have YouTube documentaries, you know, that are just pushing it out there. People are like, oh wow, this sector is getting, you know, its name. It's starting to be represented. And I'm excited to see where it goes from here on out. You know what I mean? In 2024, the landscape of entertainment's pretty crazy. You can just literally go on Instagram and find the most beautiful weed picture you can find.
Oh,
you know what I mean? You can go on YouTube and learn how to grow. You can find a Discord and join a chat and win some packs. You know what I'm saying? It's at your disposal, literally, for entertainment, all cannabis, you know? So the camaraderie of smoking together, you know, entertaining each other in a sense, you know, smoking, laughing, that rebellious type thing, you know, that the government hates.
Bro, dance is entertainment.
Yes,
This is
Oh,
it is,
yeah.
man.
Hey, we didn't
It's been
speak on
crazy,
that.
man.
And how much does that
Movement,
influence you?
Healing, relaxation, creativity, just alongside music, right?
I mean, even since you just
know?
started smoking cannabis, and it, how much, like when you
Recovery?
realized how much creativity that brought, like how was, speak on that for a little bit, just a little touch.
Just a little.
How was the realization of when you first smoked cannabis and danced, and you were like, yo, I feel more creative.
Yeah.
Like,
It's when the boundaries just drop. Like it literally just dropped. You're like,
Okay.
oh wow, there is no more boundaries. To
I'm not
my
thinking too
movement.
much.
Right, you know what I mean? I'm not supposed to be this person, you know what I mean? But when smoking, it's like you can be whoever you want to be
Okay.
within the realm of dance. So that's what it literally helped plant, that seed in me, you know what I mean? So
Maybe feel your body part a little more,
you know,
be more
recovery,
aware.
more awareness, you know
Okay.
what I mean? More in tune with the body. So definitely like an artist feels more in tune in the booth, definitely more in tune when they're in the dance room in the studio, you know?
Dope,
Or
man.
It's very athletic, you know, when you work out, you hear a runner's high.
Yeah.
Is it really you being high? Is it your endocannabinoids just kicking in? You know what I'm saying? There's rumors about that. So that's how I relate it. You know, dancing and working out, it's been a huge positive.
And I think something that we've kind of all touched on is there's so many different ways that cannabis can be correlated to bring out and break down boundaries for any field, right? That's what we want to touch on. We're talking about entertainment as a whole, but
As a whole.
now in modern society, if you're
touching
doing
everything.
pottery and painting, guess what?
You can paint
Cannabis
a nice
can
picture
definitely
for me.
help see different colors, make things more vivid.
If you're a
got
mom,
painters?
if you're
Yeah.
a mother,
Yeah.
you know, with a busy schedule, having 4 or 5 kids, it's helpful with anxiety, with de-stressing. It's helpful with your, you know,
Recovery.
with recovery, like for people who love to work out and exercise and athletes.
Well, then
Coming
then
home,
you
what do
have-
people like to say? I can't wait to go home. And, you know, I can't
Drink a
wait to
glass
go
of
home and take a
wine,
glass of
smoke a
wine.
Exactly. And then you have also like on like the cancer side where you can get your appetite back as much as you can. You can not be throwing up. You can just feel better.
Right.
Speaking of
Medicinal.
sports,
medicinal.
being as entertainment and cannabis, who's your guys' favorite stoner athletes?
Stoner athletes?
I mean, we talked about Michael Phelps. I mean,
When I heard that,
just
that
for what
broke
he's
everything for me a
accomplished,
little bit,
right?
man.
I think that like he's definitely up there. Kevin Durant for sure, just like from his
For me,
interview.
dude, Nick Diaz, dude.
Oh,
Nick
there you go.
Diaz,
Yes, there-
just the Diaz brothers
Oh.
smoking it up, dude.
What was that
Punching
track,
people in their
that track
faces.
star? Cherie Richardson.
Oh my
Remember?
goodness.
She got flack.
The
for running,
Olympics,
you know?
and she was gonna win. She was gonna
She
become
was
the gold
supposed to.
medalist.
But she got, you know, she
I totally
was open
forgot.
about it. You know what I'm saying? The WNBA, that one that got arrested in Russia.
And don't
you know
quote me,
what
but
I'm
I
saying?
think it's because someone like close to her had passed away
And she
that she did say that she
recovery.
consumed
Yeah.
for that and
Yeah,
like to
yeah.
like kind of help headspace. But like that's just so sad, especially in like this day and age where we have
Yep.
so much more research, right? Like we can never get enough, but we have so much more research and science that
Yeah.
I don't know, things like that should not stop the highest level
Diaz
athlete in their field.
Yep.
Well, we're gonna sign out. If you guys want to support more, you know, you guys can. You guys want to be a part of the club at no cost? You could join in by subscribing and sharing around to join the club and the community. If you want to support even more than that, buy us some merch. We got some stickers coming out, some shirts, Bunch of stuff coming out. So keep on the lookout for that. And yeah, just share it around, share the word. You guys are a part of the club too, so
Share the culture, man.
Hey, show the love, man.
Part of the
Show
culture,
the
part
love.
of the club.
UCC what it is.
Gang. We thank you guys, man. Entertainment. Make sure to tune in on our first episode. Catch that with ancient history and historical facts about cannabis. Tune in on our second one, and make sure to tune in on our third one too, man. Get a
No,
whole-
go all the way back. Go all the way back and just binge the whole thing.
And this one was a part 3 series.
Yep.
Yep. So it's
Yes, I
exciting,
needed
man.
it.
was
And
really
thank
good.
you all for UCC family for listening in.
Seriously.
Yeah, and we might be having a new guest on the next go round. We might be
Let's
seeing
go.
somebody new coming on.
Okay.
We'll see where the
Let's
future
go.
holds, but
I don't know what you're
excited.
talking about, but okay, cool. I'm down.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you for having me.
Thank you,
It's always a
Anton.
pleasure.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate it.
Anton, have we done an interview for you?
We have not.
Okay, we'll get that done. Anyways,
Get that done. Where can they find us?
you guys can find us at utah.cannabis.club.
Come on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube,
Spotify.
Twitch.
Twitter is UT Cannabis Club.
Yes.
Keep up with us. Latest post, like JJ said, subscribe.
Yes. Thank you for all the support.
Yep.
Gang. Thank you guys. You already know it's your boy Sep.
Anton.
Gabe.
JJ.
Wes.
Hey, Javi.
Yay!
Peace out, y'all.
UCC.
What it is.
Hey, good episode, boys.